The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. Additional support is provided by TCS, Train Control Systems. Check out their high-quality DCC sound decoders, throttles, accessories, and more at tcsdcc.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 112 for April the 11th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And tonight, best hobby in the world, I've got with me my favorite, one of the best modelers in the country that you've all read about in the 80s and the 90s, and that is Rand Hood from that beautiful state out there of Colorado. Hello, Rand.
Hello, everyone.
What a fantastic week it's been weather-wise. The weather's been beautiful. In fact, we were just commenting on the beautiful full moon that we have tonight. It's in Colorado, and it just rose over the river about an hour ago here, and it's absolutely beautiful. I want to remind you guys of an old show that we did, show number 69, back on March 18th, 2019. We did it up in the living room of the house with a nice roaring fire going. I've got the picture in front of me, and I'm showing it to you right now. But my living room has been converted by my 10-year-old, as I will now show you this photograph. There's a great big tent or clubhouse built around the coffee table and the couch. I know I see Stripe the cat on the windowsill and the bird, and there's all kinds of art supplies underneath the cloth here, because as we're still going into lockdown on our 2.5 weeks now in the Midwest, just grocery stores is the only place we can go, and the kids have found a way to make it comfortable and happy. And it's kind of awesome how everybody has just incubated and found their spaces around here, and everything's working out great. I want to show you a show that we did back, show number 83, July 27th, 2019. This is going to be a time that seems foreign to most of us. Here's the crowd in the backyard that helped me open the show. Look at that. The smiling faces, the wonderful sea of people. And of course, that show led up to a great indoor show where we had a lot of guests on stage, probably the most ever. I know we had a lot of microphones going on at the time, and it was a great time that seems so distant and different from now. But let me reassure you, good days are ahead when everything settles down and everything is back to normal. I really hope and I trust that that's going to be the way it's going to be. It's been a great week here. I haven't got much done on the Garden Railroad, but I will tell you I was able to photograph just a few of the people out in the backyard in the county parks here before they shut down the parks in Missouri. Just a few people out there. Spring has come. You can see by all the trees, they're all sprouting, and it's all very beautiful outside. Great days to follow. Also, I was able to mow the lawn today. I never thought I'd talk about that on a podcast, right? But how great it was to get outside and smell the smell of fresh cut green grass. So rock and roll. Rand Hood, welcome to the show, brother. Tell me, what have you been up to, and what do you have tonight for us to talk about?
I've just been building and building, not so much doing the layout, the actual construction of track and everything at this point, just components. And you know me, Ken, I'm a component modeler. I do things in batches. When we design a scene, we do everything that involves the scene, all the buildings, the track, bridges, everything that we can do. And then, boom, we put it all together. And that's how we've always done museum work. And so that's kind of how we approach modeling. But it does give me a chance to get all the components right and know what I'm going to do rather than setting a cardboard mock-up or something. I like to actually just do it. So one of the things, the last time I think you were out here, we looked at the east portal of the Moffat Tunnel, that huge complex with the ventilators and whatnot. Well,
That's
on the
right.
opposite side of the Continental Divide is the west portal. And so we went ahead and built that. And that just shows you out of styrene and enough distance inside the tunnel that the train can approach out of there, and I can get some good photos
That
rather than
looks
just
fantastic.
disappearing into nothing.
Wow.
So along with the Moffat tunnel, there was actually 2 tunnels, and there was a pioneer bore which they used to then turn into a water tunnel. And so these are pipes that go to that complex, and I've got all the little rivets and cleanouts, make it accurate. I've got the support pieces, the girders that hold this piece up, and I'll show you where that goes in a second. And then another concrete piece. So all this stuff is just in fabrication. And that big long tunnel portal piece goes to the Moffat water tunnel.
Okay.
Here's that, and this is where this big piece plugs into.
How about
and that spans across a creek and a river. It actually goes like that. And then along with that, what's cool about that west portal is it comes out of the mountain, out of the tunnel, right onto a bridge. So, of course, we got to do the bridge. So there's another component. So that's, the cement top on that. And then the abutments. I mean, this is just like, you got to keep up, folks, because there's millions of things.
This is amazing. So you really are building the structures before you actually lay the bench work and the track. So you're kind of...
Yes, I have. That's correct, Ken. I have the track plan. So as we showed the last time you were out, the 48-inch radius that I did a Pine Cliff bridge,
okay,
those kind of things. So we do have the track plan, and that's complete and ready to go. In fact, I can translate that into 100% downstairs. Everything is ready to go.
Wow.
But right at this point, our building shop is full of some dioramas that we're building that are rather large scale. So we don't really have time right now to work on bench work and things, but we'll get there. So in the meantime, just all these projects, and a long time ago, I don't know if you can see on these.
Oh, I see those. Those are Rock Island.
No, these, yeah. Oh, here's your Rock Islands.
Remember my goodness. Holy cow. That's something. That's amazing.
It's a blast from the past.
Right.
Yeah.
Phil Sheehan had brought some of those by here a long time ago.
Yeah, the brass ferret. I see that etched on there. I forgot that was Phil Sheehan's was his name. We did these etched brass projects, and here is the Moffat Tunnel plaques that go on there, and you can actually read these, which is really fun. So I've got those details, other little elements, rail and ties. This is where the signal's going to set in. So
the signal that holds back
more.
That holds back the rock, and the signal sits on top of that. Is that correct? So that's like
the
cribbing to hold it in place.
That's the cribbing. And it just so happens that I have the
signal.
I have the signal started.
Wow.
And so it's got a snow shield on it and a hood. So that's that element. And then one more element in that little component of build is this culvert. And inside I got a couple guys fire will light. And since this layout's set in 1984, they got George Orwell's 1984, and they're discussing whether anything came true.
That is cool.
So I put that little detail in for you because you like that kind of stuff. So, but that's the Moffat section, and there's, golly, I could keep going. I'll give you some more. How about this?
You sure are having a beautiful sunset right there behind you, aren't you? That's beautiful looking out that window right there.
Yeah, all the trees are starting to pop out now.
Right.
Should brighten up. One more element that we've been working on, well, actually there's a few more, but one is the Caboose track in North Yard for the Rio Grande. It's right up front on the layout, so we decided we would dedicate some time and really make this thing right.
Okay.
So we've scratch built all the buildings, we've done a lot of details, and it's funny that this project came about through photographs that I found on eBay and whatnot, where a little bit more of the details were revealed. There was a viaduct that went by, and people would photograph off that. And on the periphery, here was a little piece of that Caboose track and some of the elements. So we just through the last year, we've been able to try to start piecing stuff together. So here's like their main little office building.
Yes.
And air conditioning.
Not only have you built everything, but you've got everything pre-weathered, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And let me show you another. See on the back, this is rain splatter. That was something I
Yes.
was working on because on the back side of this is dirt, so I wanted to show how that worked. But we build all our structures so that the roofs come off, so that we can get into access to do the details later,
Right.
and it
Fantastic.
has lighting. Okay.
Wow, this
Um,
is why I called you a master modeler at the beginning of the show, because and it's because honestly, you pay such great attention to detail. You are a
well,
visual person. Yes.
well, these guys, the Rio Grande guys, put a little workshop on the side of this building, so I had to do that, and then just because I built this thing this week, and God bless America, I stuck American flag on there so I'll never forget what we're going through. So I like to kind of document the times that we're in subtly.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's another one of the structures. Oh, this is a fun one. Back then they used coal to fire up the stoves in the cabooses. So we built this little bin, which actually they fill the sacks and take over to the caboose. And Ken, there was two red cans on there in a photograph. I don't know what they are, but they're on this one. So that's
That's
that
neat.
piece.
The cans are
And
sitting on the ledge, aren't they? They were sitting right on the concrete edge top lip.
yeah, it was almost like they were coffee cans or something. And then one more thing, water. I had an old kit that I turned this tank into my water supply for the cabooses. But that's kind of part of it. But then here we go with all the little elements that come out. Um, okay. Oh, they got a service, so they got to bring stuff in these little carts. You can see various things, hoses, devices. Here's a can that fell over. Here's another one where they have a little cage over the oil and bring it out.
Wow.
This that reproduced what we saw in a photograph, and this is one of my favorites. This can right in the middle with the little rocker, and it has a spigot on it, so they would put this on this and they could tip it up and down.
That makes sense. Oh my God, how amazing.
It's so much fun. It's like, but that was a bear to make. Oh my goodness.
It's hard to believe
And
that this
then,
is HO scale.
well, it's HO, and it's if you're used to doing it forever, that's how it works. They built a little trash container out of crates, and there was a busted off piece of squeegee on there, so I put that in. And then one more was this little workbench that was out there. So there you can see it weathered up and ready to go. So the whole thing about component modeling is I've got my palette, Ken, and I can just go in there and produce this. And because it's right up in the foreground, when you have things in the background, I can get away with not doing quite as much detail. But this foreground is going to convince you that everything is that level.
Man, you
So,
are motivating me to want to build some models, and that's what this is all about, right? We all want to build models right now. What a better time to do it.
well, I know when we get to the end of the show, I don't know if I want to yell, let's go run some trains. I think let's go build some
Let's
trains.
go build some trains.
That's where I'm at. It's
You and I were talking
it's just
yesterday.
because,
And yesterday you
yeah.
had told me, I'm sorry, there's a bit of a delay on Skype, I can hear that. Yesterday you were
Oh, yes,
explaining to me that
yeah.
everything that you model specifically off of photographs. And whether they're photographs that you've taken yourself or that you've been able to find on the internet where you've been able to
Right.
purchase photographs to model from. Tell us about that.
Yeah, or there's also like Rio Grande Net where you can look up photographs and you'll catch little glimpses. But I didn't know what was involved in that caboose track, and we just kind of blindly started going. And then actually the first building I showed you, I didn't realize that there was awnings on that until I actually got one that was in focus because that's kind of far away.
That's
And it was
fantastic.
like, oh, that wasn't just a big header; it was actually awning. So I had to go back and put the awning. So I've been kind of doing some modifications. But yes, I model everything from photographs, but I'm building consists too of my trains. And right now we've been working on grain cars. And here I'm going to go a little bit outside the box because when you and Austin were here last year, you were out on the Rock Island line and you saw Araba and you showed pictures of that. Well, I've been modeling cars that go with those industries out there, the grain industries of, Araba, Bethune, Burlington, Stratton, Siebert. So I've been kind of making my own cars.
Very cool.
So, like, okay, Bethune Co-op, so they have some. But then I got kind of goofy. There was a Bartlett grain, and I said, boy, that looks like a weathered rock island. So I came up with this. I took the word Bartlett out where it says root rock, and I put root rock, and so it's root rock grain.
Nice.
But this is, if I get rid of Rock Island, then I can use these cars. But I like to freelance a little bit, and one freelance that I'm really kind of having fun with is Intermountain does these center flow hoppers, and they're perfect to make some Santa Fe cars. And here's what we've done. We had this idea when we were in New Mexico that these cars, we could put some of the Mimbres designs or Hopi or something of the Native Americans.
Nice.
So we came up with this design for a pronghorn antelope, and this is just a hand paint. We were just testing it. But I just think these would really be fun with all the pottery and stuff that they did. And so we've made, we can make stencils out of vinyls at our print shop. And so, so I'll be able to spray paint these and do them on the cars. But that's a little bit kind of in the freelance side of things where we kind of like to have a little bit of fun. But we pretty much stick to prototype, and right now, yeah, okay. So we build the Caboose track, then what do we got to have? We got to have all the maintenance vehicles.
Oh, there you go. Where's Mike Budde in the room? Mike, this is
Where's
amazing.
Mike?
He'll be on later on this show.
Okay, I wanted to show you the little tool rack in the front of this with spike mauls and sledges and stuff.
Very cool.
And of course, my kitties give me the antennas.
Oh, Whiskers.
Whiskers.
Stripe, did you hear that? Stripe is sitting on the
Come on,
floor
Stripe.
watching tonight.
So here's another one just with things inside. I'll mostly just show you the insides because they're pretty much, these are the Rios. And then the other thing is kind of filling in under tires and things so you can't see through. But we're going to be looking down on all this stuff, so this is where we want to be able to see what's going on.
That's fantastic.
Have some fun with it. If these are parked somewhere, they're an interesting design feature.
How about that?
So it's basically just kind of scraps out of the box and just kind of throw them together. And
it's eye candy. It's a visual treat.
yeah, I just think looking in here, it's like, I want to study this. This one I really like because it just feels dirty, grimy, and these guys are working.
How about that?
And then another side of it is then you got to have the little patrol guy, the little high rail guy.
That's right.
But man, that's cat whiskers used to the extreme. And then on the Rock Island side of this, they're taking the sign back to repaint because it's gotten so rusted. So they threw it in the back of the pickup truck.
Wow.
And that's just a little N-gauge Rock Island logo. So that'll be part.
I can't imagine what your scenery is going to look like. The structures, the vehicles, all the preliminary construction that you have done. Now I see what you've been so busy doing for the past year or so. I'm going to ask you about some of these photographs before I do, but Chris Palomarez wanted me to mention to you all out there are some brand new locomotives coming out from Athearn, and I'm going to screen capture these so that you can see them. There's only a couple pages of screen capture to look at. These are brand new GP18s. And Athearn has made videos of these various types of models. In fact, Chris Palomarez, and he's going to be on the show in just a little while, but he asked me for y'all to check out Athearn's YouTube site and their Facebook page. They've been making some social media videos, Rand, that really encapsulate some of the products and some of the neat things that they're working on over there. And they wanted to share them with everybody. And the only way to do this at this point is through social media, because most of the employees at Athearn are working from home right now, as they're not all gathering in the building over there in beautiful Champaign, Illinois. And I wanted to bring that up. That's Athearn.com for all the folks that want to check out the website. And from there you can find links to their Facebook page and to their YouTube site. Now, you and I were talking about something the other day, and you haven't bought a system yet. But you talked about the NCE system that we've got on the table, because I keep talking about it all the time. because every time I do run trains down here, I love running them with the system because it's so intuitive and so easy to use, especially the smaller throttle. I think you can see this on your screen. I love this smaller throttle because it's radio, it fits in my hand, and it's got a potentiometer on it, so I can just work it with my thumb while I'm actually focused on the trains running. And it's really a great component. It works great with the ProCab system. NCE, folks, the power of DCC, check them out. They too are still working. What they're doing is their schedule is rotating, so the shipping department is working, and then the guys in the office are working. Everybody's playing, responsible with this social distancing that we have going on. And I just wanted to make a point to bring that up. Now, when we have the later segment, we're going to have all the podcast members on the show in a little while through Zoom. And James Regier has got a really cool trick that he learned about the brand new TCS Wi-Fi throttle system, which can be used with the NCE system as an add-on component to your system, which is really cool. They sent me one, and in fact, Daniel Coombs had just purchased one this week. He showed that off on Facebook as well. But this week, they wanted me to talk about the Korea Brass track cleaning car. And I think I can show you this. I did a feature video for Model Road Hobbies magazine on this when I painted one of these up in really beautiful colors. This is a vacuum cleaning car, track cleaning car with an abrasive bottom on it. And I shot video of this picking up ground foam, ballast, and ceiling tile from my ceiling. I tried to figure out the various things that would land on a layout to see how well this would do at picking them all up. And as I ran it over the top of it, it picked up everything relatively well, and then I opened up the device to dump it all out to see what it was we had captured. So rock and roll. What a very intuitive and thoughtful track cleaning car from TCS. It's got Korea Brass brand name on it because that's of course what TCS is a distributor for. So rock and roll. Thank you very much. I can't wait to get James Regier on to talk about what he did with his throttle system, and I'm not going to give up the secret on that. Now, going back to the photographs that you had sent, Rand, I got to talk about this one because it still sticks in my mind. And this is where you've got a bridge under construction. And what Rand had done was he's got the surveyor crews and the stakes. And okay, that's one part of the scene, is the fact that these guys are working and doing what surveyors do. I'm assuming back in the early turn of the century. But look at the background scenery. Look at the mountains. Look at the stacked and layered scenery. You don't miss a trick, Ranted.
You know what, Ken? That's it's exactly how you did the Bachmann shot. Exactly that way.
It's the way we do things.
Yeah, that mountain and the trees in the background there were cut out of styrene because I always found if I painted the whole thing flat, I didn't like the way the clouds were interacting, and I like to get some distance on it. So I would to change that. But this shot is just it's an inspiration for us because it's like, people say, well, how's the layout coming? I say, well, my survey crews are, they're up close to the Continental Divide there. They're surveying and they're figuring it out. So we did that as an inspiration shot.
When I run your photographs, I run them for a long time. And I'm staring at it right now on the laptop, which is amazing to have a laptop in front of me while we do the show. This is
That's nice.
Is that static grass that you're using in that shot?
Not really. I had some leftover wild grass that I think Timberline made that I just stretched out.
Okay.
If we have time and I get to my scenery tip thing, we're going to talk about the static grass or not. But we can touch on that if you want, or another segment. You guys got me so psyched up when you were doing all those night shots on the bridge and what James was lighting up those engines. It's like, I'm just sitting here going, this is incredible the way the hobby is moving and what we can do and what you guys did. So I set a scene in the mountains, and that was that one. And then because it's April now, I sent an April rainy season shot where it has rained, the thunderstorm's moving out. The city of Denver is in the distance, shining with all the little lights. And that's just, about 1,000 little tiny number 80 holes drilled in styrene and backlit.
That is beautiful.
But it's something I'm going to use on the current layout when I have industries and things that are on the backdrop. I'm actually going to go ahead and light them up that way so that the animation continues into the backdrop.
That is fantastic.
And then just to round out, I sent in it was a fall photo, but it's just another scene where the engine's kind of encompassed in that whole scene with the clouds. And I enclosed that one because I want to give a shout out to Jack and Brent, father and son, Mopac
Yes.
Jack. We know Mopac Jack.
Right.
He's the biggest fan. He's the most enthusiastic person. Thank you for just being in the hobby and being so enthusiastic about things, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate that you watch the show. So I put that in because you said nice things about my work, and I just wanted to share that with you. So that goes out to you, Jack.
Jack goes back a long way. He used to be part of the Midwest Valley Modelers layout when we had it in St. Louis. He was always a great help. But that's the shot you're talking about with the tunnel motors coming out of the tunnel, correct?
Yep.
That's a
Coming out of
beautiful
tunnel
photograph.
there.
So we've covered 3 of them. We've got the dusk shot, we got the surveyor shot, and we got the one in fall named October. And the last one that you've got here is the Zephyr Night. Tell me about that.
Oh, that's the one, the night shot that you and James inspired me to do.
And the signals, I see
Where's
signals
that
here.
went in?
And
Yeah.
It looks like an F unit is about to meet some tunnel motors.
Yep. Yeah, and I was just, one of the things I remember about F9s was you could look in those little portals and you could always see that little light in there. And I always thought that was a cool feature, so I put that in there.
That's cool. I think
So-
that's what Bachman's doing to that new Charger engine that's coming out. Your vegetation in this photograph is also amazing. Your signals are lit. The buildings are lit. Again, you don't miss a trick, Ranted. You absolutely
Well,
don't.
I don't.
Now you've
Yeah,
got
a
some.
lot of this grass stuff, I do more bush things than I do solids.
Go ahead and
and-
talk about your rock wash and your tips, your scenery tips. I see 4
Okay, yeah,
photographs
I'm going
here.
to give you guys a scenery tip, and this was a moment of revelation. In this first photo, Karen and I are floating on the canoe looking at a reservoir that through the course of the year it drains down, and the soil has washed away and exposed exactly what that rock outcropping is. The rock outcropping's at the top, and the soil is washed away. But I wanted to show, all our fellow modelers that there's more to a rock outcropping than just the little casting you put out. You've got to define it, and you've got to add to it. So that shot shows you, with the soil taken away, how much other rock is actually there.
Wow.
So I just want you to remember that when you're doing your outcroppings, get talus and stuff in there around it to give it a support. It doesn't just pop out on its own unless it's limestone. I get it. This may be more of a Western tip, but the next shot is of a model of doing sandstone, kind of on the same concept, where they cut through the sandstone, but it gives you the idea of there's many different layers to it, and rocks and thicknesses and whatnot. And that was plaster and dirt put together and just hand carved in order to get that kind of ice cream effect this is the way sandstone is. You can brush it and do things to it. So the next shot is a close-up of the top of that rock form, which shows all the lichens applied. And you guys need to remember, rocks aren't just rock color. There's organisms living on them and growing out of them and doing things. So I enclosed that so you can also see how the rocks are disappearing into the soil. And then the last shot is of a juniper tree and its roots, and the other side of that formation where you can see how the rocks are disappearing into the soil. And just doing that little bit seems to ground the whole element. So that's kind of my scenery tip, is just pay attention and give it a little more grounding and let it spread out a little bit. And with talus and little chunks in your soil, it works great. And the last point I'll make on that last photo was you'll see gray inside on the ground. Gray is a color you need to use in your landscapes. Get rid of the bright greens, get some grays in there, and that's what makes that soil look real in that last shot. So
That's fabulous, man. Wow. I'm blown away. Plus, these are wire armatures. You've actually bent these and created every single branch structure.
Yeah, they were actually just pieces of jute, and just unwind them with CA glue and then static grass on top of it. So
Wow. Rand Hood, I love you, brother. This is the best hobby in the world, and it's because of people just like you that make it great. And I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm just saying you are such a motivator. I mean, after watching this show, I'll bet there's a lot of people out there that are going to be motivated to try to do just what it is that you've shown us. I know I am, just based on your structures that you just showed us.
Well, everybody can do it. It's just, I'm pretty dedicated about the amount of time that I spend. I try to spend at least an hour a day if I can get it. And I find that it helps me kind of unwind, and I look forward to building stuff. And one last thing before we part, I did a little carving. I needed these chimneys for my cabins. So I built the chimney, and then I made a cast in alginate. If you guys know what that is, the dentist uses it. If you've been bad and have to get a crown, they use an alginate mold in your mouth. Well, it's a water-based thing. And so what happens is I make a cast, and then next day I make another cast. Well, it starts shrinking. And so I have exactly 11 of these things that graduate from full size, and there's some even smaller than this one. But now I've got this range of all these chimneys, 11 of them for all my buildings, and it was one thing. So that's one way to speed things up. Try it. Alginate is a fun thing if you can do. You can get it online easily. So
that's absolutely amazing, Rand. Rand, you're amazing yourself. To a lot of the folks, we've got a lot of new viewers out there. Our numbers in the past 2 weeks have gone up well over 40% than normal. I want to say if there's another good show out there, if y'all are just looking for a great video to watch, check out the Paul Lally interview that we did. He was a former director for the Mr. Rogers Show. And what an absolutely moving interview that was. Enthusiasm. There was a lot of love in that show, plus a lot of great behind-the-scenes photography that they supplied us with of them producing the show, talking about the little city that they built that they always filmed on the show, and the trolley, which James Regier did build faithfully in HO scale. Rand Hood, the world loves you, and I'd love to have you back on the show sometime soon. It was like over a year since the last time I think we've had you on the show. And
it's been a little bit.
You're awesome. Although we've talked to you.
That's why I got so much done.
That's awesome, brother. And plus, it was very nice visiting with you when I was able to go out there and just see your beautiful house that you built. You are literally living within the walls of your own art. So me and Austin Allard really appreciated the tour and the wonderful chili. Thank your lovely wife, Karen, for the great chili. Is it red or green? It's always good. So with that, next part of the show now, and this is probably going to be a longer show than normal, we're going to bring in the rest of the podcast crew. Everybody is doing very well, working on projects, and they're very eager to show you what it is that they've been working on. So that's coming up next. Thank you, Rand.
See you guys. Thanks.
So here we are. We've got the entire podcast crew with us here on Zoom. Guys, I miss all of you being here in the studio with me all the time. We
miss you too, Ken.
Just had a great interview with Rand Hood, and now tonight we've got with us James Regier. I see Campbell Rice on the screen. Joshua Barton, Joshua Sugarfire.
Hi, everybody.
There's Michael Budde with a beautiful auto rack behind him. Our favorite Daniel Coombs here on the screen. And of course, Chris Palomarez up in the top corner of the screen, guys. So I'm glad everybody's healthy, everybody's safe, and I guess you guys have all been working on your models. So starting with Campbell Rice. Campbell, tell us, what have you been working on?
Well, since it was a 90-degree day here in St. Louis, I spent most of it in the nice, cool basement. And so I'm finishing up some track work. I've got my yard completed, and I've started on a little bit of scenery. And I have lots of spare time since I'm basically only working 2 days a week. So I'm getting a lot accomplished.
You've gotten an awful lot done, and you just finished a video for Model Road Hobbyist Magazine on how to make roads. And the one thing that I caught off of that was you like something called Mod Podge.
That's correct.
Tell us about that.
Yes. Boy, I use it for everything. You can. I use it to apply my static grass. I thin it down and use it as my scenery spray. So it just has lots of good uses. It's a great product, and I buy it by the gallon.
That's awesome. Cool. I see Chris Palomarez is in the room. Chris, have you got sound?
Yo,
there you are. There you are, and your picture's on screen. Tell us, Chris, how have you been?
It's been a long time.
How's the family? Everybody safe?
Everybody's fine. The cats are safe. Angie's safe, and we have a refrigerator still full of food we're trying to get through before it goes bad.
There you go.
How's things for you and Ken?
It's been really busy here. We've been producing the What's Neat show throughout the week, and I've been getting a lot of yard work in, and the Garden Railroad is still coming along, Chris, so awesome.
Oh, boy.
We talked about your GP18s on the show, and I showed all of the video that you guys are making off of your Facebook site, so you guys are all still working actively.
It never stops.
Oh man, I was watching that live conference on Facebook the other day. Those models were looking amazing.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, it's been a lot of a long time coming, because I've been looking over Matt's shoulder on those things for a couple years now. And
I mean, I saw you were actually putting traction motors on behind the wheels.
Yeah, well, the detail is there, and it's something new. I think that people didn't realize they wanted it until they saw it the other night, and now they want it.
Right. That's pretty amazing.
I see Michael Budde is here with an auto wreck behind him. Mike, how have you been, brother?
Good. Everybody's healthy here. We've been staying home for the most part. My kids have been doing some shopping for us and stuff, and so we stay home as much as we can. I've been working on. I finally got some of those G85, those Walters G85 flat cars, and I weathered those. And I've been working on my Camaros and Firebirds for that big auto rack project I'm doing too, in 1/87th scale. So I don't know if I can try and show you any of that stuff now, or I can just send pictures later. But
A lot of people in readers' comments have been commenting that they miss your vehicles every week.
yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's nice knowing people like what I do. So thanks, everybody.
That's awesome. James Regier, you've been working on some projects. Tell us what you've been working on.
Well, I've been working on this GP60M back here. I've sent you a photo of it, so maybe that'll give us a closer look than what I can give you on this layout here. But yeah, I've finally gotten that one just about completed. Someone in the Santa Fe Facebook group tells me I got the wrong plow on it, so I gotta get that fixed. I got that on order, but it's looking good, and it'll be coming out in a What's Neat video here in a couple months. So we can look forward to that. It's got 21 LEDs in it, and I put in every detail that I could reasonably find and work with, and not expect to have fall off again. So yeah, it's been a fun project, and ultimately this locomotive here will be a very late Christmas gift to my oldest daughter, Renata.
How about that? Now, you bought one of these train control systems, UWT 100s, and I understand you've been doing some experimenting with this handheld
right. Yes,
throttle.
I took my universal Wi-Fi throttle, the UWT 100, and I went outside into my backyard. I had a camera on the layout and my iPhone with me, and I actually filmed myself walking into the backyard, pressing the button to start the locomotive, blowing the horn, and throttling up, all from my back fence, which is about as far away from the house as I can get. The idea being that if I can operate the layout from out there, then I could definitely operate it in any corner of the basement, as long as I have Wi-Fi connection.
So it went through the walls, and about how many feet away were you from it?
Yeah, it was kind of a fun and weird experiment, but it worked pretty well.
Would you guess that you were 70 feet away?
Thereabouts. I've never actually measured my yard, but I'd guess it's about 70 feet to the back.
God, I'm so glad you guys are all here. Now, Daniel Coombs, I understand you went out and bought one of these systems, the handheld throttle from
right
TCS.
there.
Well, you're using it on your layout right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm running 2 trains here on my main tracks 1 and 2, so it's working out great. And James, like you said, this is a phenomenal throttle. I got to go in my backyard and try to see if it'll do what you just described.
Now, are you using JMRI, or are you using it directly through your Digitrax?
Actually, since you were the only one to do JMRI, I was experimenting with the Digitrax LNY, and it's flawless. Automatically connects within 5 seconds, ready to go.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
I love seeing that train in front of you there, Daniel. You've been working actively on your layout, and are you still working at work?
yes, I am. So first off, real quick about work, they just cut our hours back to about 30 hours. So we're on a 2-team shift. So team 1 is Monday through Wednesday, and then team 2 is Thursday through Saturday. So yes, I am still working. I am still learning, which is a good thing. But other layout updates I got, just been progressing. And of course, like I got the TCS Wi-Fi throttle myself. So it's kind of the center point of attention right now of running my trains, and I'm loving it each and every day. I've also went on ahead and finished up, and Chris, you might remember this one. I put LED lights into it finally. This is the old Athearn Ready to Roll GP38 the blue box kit with the matching caboose that I think Athearn released several years ago in a limited edition set. So I basically also cosmetically I painted the handrails white. Kind of glued them all together in the stanchions, but Katie couplers runs like a champ.
Man,
Nice.
I wish you guys were all here at the table
Good job,
with me.
man.
Last but not least, we got Sugarfire Joshua Barton. How's your life been, and how's your layout coming along, Joshua?
Well, I've devoted the 60 to 70 hours a week that I work at Sugarfire to my layout pretty much. I am on a self-quarantine due to my health, and I'm healthy now, and I just want to stay healthy. So luckily the powers that be at Sugarfire have been running a skeleton crew and let me do work from home. So I've been stuck here, and I've been working on my layout. I'm not sure with my lighting if I can show you guys some stuff, but let's see if I can flip.
Let's do it. Let's see what you got, man.
Yeah.
So
There you
So
go.
I installed my roundhouse. I have my swoop line that comes around the roundhouse already laid out. And that'll go around.
Wow.
Step over this
Oh,
way.
that's looking good.
This
It
is
is.
my mainline track there. And that
Man,
has
that's
all
pretty
kinds
big.
of, I got 2 double crossovers. And then to the right of this track is where the town of DeSoto will actually be. So it's like you're looking down the street of DeSoto right
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
Okay.
that's awesome.
When
So
I
you
finish
can rail
it,
it.
Did I see an NCE throttle there on your layout?
you know it. I
There
run
you
the
go.
best. But here I'll show you guys real quick. So the concept of my layout is I want to bring people into it. So I built this bar here.
Right.
This is the step for the bar, and the rest, everything from the right here, is on platforms that have rollers on them, so I can move them around, move them out to get to the back stuff to work on that. So that's all movable. From the
Okay.
left here, this is all stationary.
Oh,
So-
nice.
And I'll show you. Let me pull my. I took my foam and I made a cutout. Let me put this on the bar top. That will go here. I'm going to pour the bar top out of the acrylic so you can see through it, and I'm going to have the track actually running through on top of the bar.
Wow.
That is going to
That's
be
awesome.
very nice to see.
You guys can see that.
Can't wait.
So
Now, is that where your stream is going to be going on top of the bar?
yeah, the stream is going to be going. It's called Joachim Creek, and I'm going to cut this part out and do something kind of like a Luke Cowan did, and have that acrylic in there with the actual. You'll be able to see the rocks of the street.
Man.
And did you figure out how to get yourself some salmon for that?
No, not yet. I'm still debating if I should buy that 3D printer that he has. But that's my next big issue. Tonight I'm finishing laying all the mainline track. So all the mainline track except for what goes on the bar top will be done tonight. I got
Nice.
stacks right over there.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, guys. I'm so glad all you guys are doing well. Before I close it out, this is show number 112. Anybody else got anything else to say real quick?
No, not really. Just stay healthy, everybody. We'll come out on the other side of this. We'll finally be able to get back together and hang out.
Absolutely.
Amen.
All right.
Best hobby in the world
Play
with the
trains.
best people in the world. And just like Rand Hood said, let's go build some trains.
That's right.
Everybody,
All right.
Everybody.
best idea ever.
See you guys.
All right, so long.